In this video that follows, I'm going to make the case, another case, that the Summer Fall 74 band is the greatest Frank Zappa touring band of all time and the greatest band ever to go in the studio and record with Frank. And there is another song on here, never before released for the first time on Zappa, the original movie soundtrack, which is evidence in my case that this is the greatest group ever. And it's a song that a couple videos ago I was attacking as not that good of a song. That band, their version, changed my mind, people. Changed, not about the band, about the song, which is why that band's so great. Yeah, we'll watch the video and find out. Hello, people. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed away. I've already done the ones released prior to him passing. They're also on this channel. We are now on the ones after December of '93, and this is number 38, Zappa, the official movie soundtrack. When I did my initial mock-up of this List 55, I had this album back closer to like the 55 mark. I thought it was going to be much earlier in this list because there is a lot of previously released material on here. It is presented chronologically, completely. So I thought that would be dull and not that worth me wanting to go back to and listen to all that often. But I've kept putting it off. And every time I'm like, no, there's too much good material on here. Nah. And so though it is now 38, this has only been out since November, the end of November of 2020. So like at the time of my recording this, it's been out like just over 3 months, like 3 months and 3 days. But I really, really enjoy it. It might actually move up higher on this list because like closer to number one, because the unreleased stuff is really, really good. Really good. Like I'm going to rant and rave about this unreleased stuff. And so that's why it's here. I mean, it could be higher. I've only been listening to it for 3 months, like I said, but it's a surprisingly good album. It's a I'm reviewing the 3 CD set. There's a 2 LP version of this, so 4 sides. Most of the unreleased stuff that I'm going to rant and rave about is on that. So I think by covering the 3 CD set, I cover the meat of what is really, really great about this album. I also want to say that while I enjoyed the movie, I wanted a lot more music out of the movie. But if you take the movie and the album together, I think it is a really good history of Frank. You get the character study in the movie, you get the musical sort of journey on the album. It is a great, complete musical journey. Like it is, I really do think this will be higher than 30. I'm a little upset at myself for putting it here, but I have to because it's only been out for 3 months. So we'll see how this goes a year from now. I might just revisit this whole list, not redo videos, but just address it. But anyways, this is what is on this. And I do think most of it is on the first 2 CDs. The 3rd CD is primarily soundtrack music, which is very background music, ambient type stuff. Not in any way, that's not a critique, that's not a judgment, that's not praise, that's not anything. But I'm not going to review the actual 3rd CD, which consists of like the soundtrack music. But which is composed by somebody named, I should at least give his name, but I don't know, John Frizzell, that is I think his name, John Frizzell. But at the end of the 3rd CD, there are 5 songs that are Frank songs that if you get the LP version, they all fit on the vinyl, and then the soundtrack is just on the last, I think, side A and B of the vinyl. But for time's sake, they had to throw it at the end of the 3rd CD. So this is 2 CDs plus 5 songs on the 3rd CD that I'm going to review. But anyways, this is what is on. If something has been previously released, I'm not going to review it. I'll just let you know what album it's on. But I am going to spend some time talking about the unreleased stuff. So you get Any Way the Wind Blows from Freak Out. You'll probably wonder why I'm here from Freak Out. A song called Every Time I See You by a group called the Heartbreakers. Frank produced this. It sounds like Frank has a guitar solo on this. If it's not Frank playing the guitar, it's somebody who sounds a lot like really early Frank. I want to say this song is from like 63, maybe it's 64 or 65, but it's right around the time of the early Mothers. Probably 65 being that this is right on the soundtrack with Freak Out. But it's a really good song that he produced that is a nice little 50s kind of cruising with Ruben and the Jets early Freak Out type song. And it works. It fits right in here among these Freak Out songs. It's a nice little side of Frank. Then you get Motherly Love from Freak Out. And then you get one of the first great treats of this album, 3 unreleased live songs from Los Angeles, the Whiskey A Go Go in '68. Pretty sure it's '68. You get the Memories of El Monte, which was a song that Frank and Ray wrote in the early Mother's days. You get a song called Oh in the Sky, which is another Frank song. And then you get The Duke, which essentially is an early version of Little House I Used to Live In. So it's Little House I Used to Live In, this crazy solo section where at one point it's just Frank and the two percussionists, the drummer and the percussionist, just playing. It has this very basic, driven, just incredibly rhythmic, just amazing breakdown solo in the middle of that. And that's what you get. So you get this is like almost 15 minutes, Memories of El Monte. And Memories of El Monte is good because it's their song. And then at the end of it, Frank starts calling out like, this band. And then Ray sings little versions of like other songs from other people. And then he goes, Oh, in the Sky. And then they sing, Oh, in the Sky, with that awesome Roy Estrada falsetto going. So great 3 unreleased tracks already on disc 1 that are wonderful. Then you get How Could I Be Such a Fool, the mystery disc version, so a slightly different take than the album. You get a Frank interview about talking why the Mothers have stayed together because they're musicians and they love to play music. You get the song, the #1 song for great songs on otherwise inconsistent albums. You get Black Beauty. Black Beauty has been on stage 5, which was a Mothers looking at the early Mothers, which was pretty inconsistent. That was one of the highlights. It was on mystery disc, looking at the early Mothers. This was one of the highlights. And it is now on this album, and it is again one of the highlights. It is what I think is a King Kong solo section. It's like 5+ minutes from a King Kong. I'm pretty sure it's a King Kong. It's just fun listening. It's kind of all over the place improv. It's Frank at his the early Mothers at their improvisational best. Then you get Absolutely Free from We're Only In It For The Money. You get a You Didn't Try to Call Me. This is the, I think it's the Mofo version. So it's just the basic tracks in which you realize that that song could have been an instrumental to begin with. That the melody is so strong instrumentally that you don't even need the words. The playing is so beautiful, you don't even need the words. Like, I think that has been for me one of the great revelations about like the Mofo and the Project Object, the Lumpy Money stuff, is some of these backing tracks without vocals sound just as amazing because the melody is so strong and there is so much going on instrumentally that the lyrics and the vocals really are just another level on an already amazing song. And I think that's reinforced here with this version of You Didn't Try to Call Me coming where it does after this like ferocious Black Beauty and this completely wacky Absolutely Free. And then you get You Didn't Try to Call Me with no vocals. Then you get Agency Man, same one from the Mystery Dicks. Not a fan of the song, but it's an interesting little look at early Frank. You get Oh No from Weasels. You get Mother People from We're Only In It For The Money. See, here's where we're like not strictly chronological, but kind of chronological. Then you get a thing that works wonderful to close this disc. You get an excerpt from Stravinsky's The Firebird Suite, the finale, which is a great song, and it works so well here because you can kind of hear the Frank, you know, how it influenced Frank. This is one of Stravinsky's more like uplifting, sort of like mainstream pieces, for lack of a better word, but it's still, you can hear a little bit of Frank in it. Then you get Frank talking about Varese. Then you get a version of Ionization by Varese as conducted by Pierre Boulez. So much conceptual continuity going on there, but you get some Varese, which obviously informed a lot of Frank's music, especially in the 60s. Then you get a GTO song, The Captain's Fat Teresa Shoes. This is just a straight up 60s psych pop little ditty, fun little number. You get No Longer Umpire, an Alice Cooper song from his first album. Both of these, the GTOs and Alice Cooper, Frank produced their albums. And I want to say this about Alice Cooper. If you have not heard, he had a run of albums in the early 70s. Love It to Death, Killers, School's Out, and $1 Billion Babies, which are amazing hard rock, shock rock, kind of theatrical in that Alice Cooper sort of way. But if you have not heard those 4 albums, from Love It to Death running through $1 Billion Babies, they are amazing. Check them out. At some point, I may just do an Alice Cooper breakdown review because I think he gets recognized for the Snakes and the shock rock and all that kind of stuff. But these are really good, fun, hard rock, shock rock, kind of theatrical, a little bit of like the Doors, narration type weirdness stuff in there. Really good albums. I highly recommend. And then it closes out with Road Ladies, the Chunga's Revenge version. Amazing first disc of music. All right, we're on to the second disc. You get an unreleased version of Colony Vegetable from the Fillmore West. It's almost the entire thing, but we're missing the guitar solo, but it's still fun to see the sort of banter that Frank and Flo and Eddie have at the end of this. You get a live version of Happy Together, which is previously unreleased. Then you get Scumbag, which has been previously released, but I think this is the best sounding for some reason. Maybe where it occurs after Happy Together and before Your Mouth, or maybe the mix, something about this version of Scumbag, which was with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. It's essentially them going scumbag, and then Howie's like scumbag, carries your, he just makes up all this crazy stuff. For some reason, I enjoy this Scumbag more than I've enjoyed any other. That's followed by Your Mouth. What a great song from Waka Jawaka. You get a Roxy version of Cheapness, one of the, not the album version, but one of the overdubbed versions from like the Roxy Performances series. You get, here we go. You get a live apostrophe from my favorite band of all time. You know what? If there is ever any argument about which band of Frank's is the best, play them this version of Apostrophe. It is from a rehearsal from the summer/fall 74 band. This is the best Apostrophe I've ever heard. I've just spent a couple videos ago complaining about how much I don't like Apostrophe, how I thought the Bongo Fury Tour was the only band that did it well. I still think the Bongo Fury Tour does it well, but this is the best version I've ever heard. And it comes from my all-time favorite band. So everything I've ever said about Apostrophe, it can be a great song if you put it in the hands of Frank's greatest band, which is the summer/fall 74. And this is another piece of evidence in my case for why that is Frank's best outing ever, and how the ZFT should release a handful. They should release a 12-disc box set of nothing but live 74, fall 74 stuff. That's my pitch. Then we get a Muffin Man, the Halloween version of a Muffin Man, one of the Halloween Muffin Mans. Then we get another unreleased song, Dancing Fool from Saturday Night Live. Awesome. Pretty much sounds like Dancing Fool, but it's neat that it's the Saturday Night Live version. Then we get a Moe's Vacation from the Fall 78 tour. This is a Vinnie Colaiuta, Arthur Barrow kind of Black Page duet thing. It's very complicated and rhythmic, and it's not as danceable as Black Page, but it's an incredibly interesting song. Then we get the Black Page #1, the Ruth Underwood solo piano version, which was tacked on to the end of the 40th anniversary Zappa in New York release. It's on here, and this is just so beautiful. Ruth Underwood playing the Black Page #1 on piano. It's amazing. We get Sofa from Zinni. We get Fembot in a Wet T-shirt. Then that goes into Valley Girl. That is a really good pairing. Valley Girl sounds much, much better when it follows Fembot in a Wet T-shirt / Wet T-shirt Night. It makes it seem like Valley Girl is part of Wet T-shirt Night, and that Mary from the Bus is the Valley Girl, even though obviously her accent says she's not. But that pairing, it's a really good pairing. And every time Valley Girl appears on a disc, it should precede, or it should follow. It should be preceded by, it should follow Fembot in a Wet T-shirt. Then we get a live version of the Meek She'll Inherit Nothing from that 84 Pier show, the Does Humor Belong in Music show. I like this version because this is the one where instead of they say Moses, Aaron, and Abraham, they go Brown Moses, Aaron, and Abraham. I always thought that little Brown Moses thrown in there was a good nod to an album I don't like, but a great song. Then you get HR 2911, which was the last track on Frank Zappa Meets the Mothers of Prevention. I did not like that song on that album. I think it is a very anticlimactic, kind of a downer. But on this album, when it's sort of the first Synclavier piece after this incredible run of like Black Page, Sofa, Fembot, Valley Girl, The Meek, and then you get this relatively short Synclavier piece, which then goes right into the Yellow Shark performing G-Spot Tornado, which is how I chose to end my it's how I chose to end my my all-time greatest hits of Zappa stuff was with the G Spot Tornado from Yellow Shark. That's how good of a song that is. And I love the fact that it ends the second CD. So those are the first two CDs. But then on the third CD, which is mostly soundtrack music, on the very end of it, there's 5 more songs. There's the envelopes from London Symphony Orchestra. Then you get the only unreleased of these. You get the overture, which from what I can tell was only played once, of the Yellow Shark shows. From I think the first Frankfurt show, which was like the second of the run. I only saw it on one set list, so I think it was only played once, unless the other set list for some reason didn't conclude it. It's a pretty interesting piece. It starts off pretty, it's like 9 minutes long. It starts off pretty chill and like just kind of spacey and atmospheric. And then you can tell Frank must walk on stage because everybody starts cheering, and then it gets a little more active. But it's very much feels like an overture, feels like something else is coming. It's a pretty good piece. And I, for one, have a spotless set of Spotify set list, which has this before the rest of the Yellow Shark because it works. And then to go into Dog Breath, phenomenal. Then you get a Get Whitey from the Yellow Shark. You get Nap Time from Everything Is Healing Nicely, which I haven't yet reviewed yet, which is further down on this list, closer to number 1. And then you get The Watermelon from Easter Hay from the Frank Zappa Meets the Mothers of Prevention, an awesome guitar solo. This is also on the birthday bundle, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, that's it. I've been going on for like 15 minutes. This is a great release. Like, this is a great way to dip your feet into Frank. If you're relatively new to Frank, I think this is worth checking out. If you're into him and want to get more of him, into him, this is great to check it out. And if you own everything he's already released and you got a closet full of boots and all that stuff, this is still a really good listen. Like, they hit it out of the ballpark with this. It's probably higher than 38, but for now, because it's only 3 months old, it's maybe got to pay its dues, get a couple scars, get tested a little more, might move up closer to number 1. But it is a great list. It is a great album. I love it. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And those rarities, beautiful. All right. Thanks for watching. I've been going on for far too long. Subscribe, all that stuff. Algorithms, comment, friends, peace. Yeah.